Today, we're diving into three incredible stories from an ancient text. We're talking about a raging storm, a man in torment, and a child on the brink of death. Now, on the surface, they seem pretty different, but they all point to one single powerful idea: absolute authority. So that brings us to the big question for this whole explainer. What does absolute authority actually look like? I mean, what does it mean to have that kind of power? The events we're about to walk through give some pretty startling answers. All right, so our first example tackles authority over something we all know and respect: the raw power of the natural world. The scene starts out, totally normal. They're just crossing a lake in a boat, something they've probably done 100 times. And Jesus is so exhausted, he actually falls asleep. Everything's perfectly calm, and then bam, that piece is just shattered. A violent storm, what the text calls a furious squall, just boils up out of nowhere. The boat is filling with water, and the text makes it really clear they are in great danger. This isn't just a little bad weather. This is a full-blown life-or-death crisis. You can just feel the panic in their voices. And remember, a lot of these guys were fishermen. They knew this lake inside and out. For them to be this terrified, that tells you everything. They rush to wake Jesus up, totally convinced they're about to die. Now, look at this contrast. On one side, you've got absolute chaos: raging winds, waves swamping the boat. On the other side, a simple, direct action. He doesn't struggle with the storm, he rebukes it, like he's correcting it. He speaks to the wind and the water, and just like that, it's over. Everything is calm. What's so fascinating is what happens next. The disciples aren't just relieved, they're actually scared, but in a totally different way. Their fear of the storm is suddenly replaced by this awe-filled fear of the man right there with them in the boat, and they're left with this question just hanging in the air, a question that really sets the stage for everything else. So from the visible world of nature, the story now shifts gears. We're moving into a different kind of authority, this time over the unseen, the spiritual realm. So Jesus arrives in a new region, and he's immediately met by this man. The man's situation is so extreme that when Jesus asks his name, the name he gives is Legion. The text spells it out for us. This isn't a person's name, it's a number. It means many, a whole host of spirits. And his life, it's described in these harrowing terms. He's a total outcast, living among the tombs, no clothes. He has this kind of supernatural strength, so strong that he can snap any chains they use to try and restrain him. He's completely alone and completely tormented. And here's the key moment. Before Jesus even says a whole lot, the spirits inside the man cry out. They recognize him instantly. They call him Son of the Most High God, and they are absolutely terrified of him, begging him not to torture them. What happens next is just bizarre. The demons actually start bargaining. They beg to be sent into a herd of pigs nearby, and Jesus simply gives them permission. The second they enter the pigs, the whole herd, stampedes down a cliff and into the lake. It's this shocking physical proof that something massive just took place. And the transformation in the man is, well, it's total. He goes from being this wild, uncontrollable figure to sitting there peacefully, fully dressed, and completely sane. The contrast is just staggering. He's been given his life back. But the townspeople, their reaction is the real shocker. You'd think they'd be throwing a parade, right? But they don't. This incredible display of authority doesn't make them happy. It makes them afraid. They are so overcome with fear that they ask Jesus to, please, just leave. Okay, so we've seen authority over nature and the spiritual world. The narrative now brings it closer to home, focusing on something deeply personal: the limits and failings of the human body. Now, this next section is clever because it weaves two stories together. It all kicks off with a man named Jairus, a religious leader, begging Jesus to come heal his daughter, who's at death's door. But on the way to his house, there's a delay, a really important interruption that, at first, seems like a total disaster. So let's focus on that interruption for a second. There's a woman who has been suffering from a bleeding condition for 12 years. Just think about that. 12 years of doctors telling her there's nothing they can do, and her cure? It's instantaneous. She just reaches out and touches the edge of his cloak, and the power she's been searching for over a decade is just there. It happens without him even saying a word. When she finally admits it was her, he isn't angry at all. He speaks to her with such kindness and basically confirms that her faith was the thing that connected her to that healing power. It's this beautiful, quiet moment of personal restoration. But remember, while this wonderful healing was happening, the clock for Jairus' daughter was ticking down. That delay, it forces the story into its ultimate confrontation, a direct challenge to death itself. And there it is, the worst news a parent can hear. A messenger arrives and the words are just so final, so blunt. She's dead. It's too late. Don't bother the teacher. The situation has officially moved from urgent to hopeless. So when Jesus finally gets to the house and says the little girl is just sleeping, the people there, they laugh at him. And these aren't just random people. They're the professional mourners. They know death when they see it. Their laughter just highlights how certain everyone was that this was the end of the line. In the face of that certainty, that mockery, that finality of death, the command is just as simple and direct as the one he gave to the storm. It's not a complicated prayer or some elaborate ritual. It's just a gentle, authoritative command, spoken directly to the child. And the result is, once again, immediate and complete. The text says her spirit returned, and she just stood up. Death is literally reversed with 3 simple words. So, let's just step back and look at the big picture. We've seen authority over nature, the spiritual realm, chronic sickness, and even death. What is the one common thread in how people reacted to all of this? You start to see a pattern, don't you? The disciples in the boat were filled with fear and amazement. The people who saw the healed man were overcome with fear. And the girl's parents, they were astonished. In every single case, the main human reaction wasn't just happiness, it was shock. It was this powerful mix of awe and, frankly, terror. They knew they were looking at a kind of power that just didn't play by the normal rules. And so, we end this explainer right back where the first story left us. After seeing someone command the wind and the waves, a legion of demons, a debilitating illness, and death itself, we are all left with the exact same question that the disciples whispered to each other in that boat. Who is this?